I'll start with one of my favorites is Diamond Frost. I was a florist, so to me it reminds me of baby's breath. And anytime you put this in a planter, it looks like a bouquet. And so my clients just love it. And I'll tell you, I have one on a job that's going for 5 years. We just keep cutting it back, and it just, comes back. And when you're cutting your garden flowers, you can cut these off and use them in an arrangement, in a vase. So it's a really multi-purpose plant. Drought resistant. It can get too much, and get wet feet and not punish you like some plants do. They take it out on you. So
Say the name of it again.
Diamond Frost. I usually use this either towards the back of a planter, so it kind of looks like comes out throughout the whole plant, or I sit it in the middle of a planter and plant things around it, so it kind of grows between all the plants, and it's just a nice accent. White is a natural accent anyway, because it lights things up, in all your colors. It brings out the color more, so it will get pretty tall. You just keep cutting it back, and it reblooms in like a few days. I mean, you can cut it all the way down, and it'll really flush out, and get like wider, and but yeah, I'll tell you, it's a big bang for the buck. It's inexpensive, it's perennial, and it's not fussy. And that, when you're doing this for a living, if I don't have to go back and replace things, that's my favorite plant then. Whether I like the color or not. Don't use topsoil. I don't ever, when I'm doing, if it was, in the garden, then you can use topsoil, manures and all that kind of stuff. When it's in a planter, it's too heavy, and all the manures will burn, the roots. So you just don't use that in container gardening. The lighter the soil, the better the plants will produce. And I never use that Miracle Grow stuff. It's got vitamin, it's got the fertilizer in it, it holds water. Well, then for sure we're gonna have 10 inches of rain. And it'll never dry out. And you're paying for the name like Bayer aspirin. You got a headache, you take Publix or whatever. Bayer is just, you're buying a name. So, no, this is so easy to make your own combination. This is Formula B. It's got what they call Blast, which is a quick fertilizer for the roots immediately when you first put them in. And the other one is Osmocote, which is 3 to 6 months,
And what's this one?
This is Formula B. It's a mix of Blast and Osmocote, an even balance. And this stuff, I'm telling you, this is like vitamins and, hormones, everything. It's great. It's really, I use this.
How often do you use it? How often do you use it?
Because I do this for a living, and I can't have anything go wrong on a job because people are here seasonally. So I have to make sure nothing happens from November until April. I use this every month. You don't have to. I would recommend every 3 months for a normal homeowner. I don't have that luxury of looking at them getting a little weak, and then, because clients their eyes are on these planters all the time. They have company and parties, and you can't have anything that doesn't look pristine. So I'm like, I make drug addicts out of these. Here you go. And I liquid fertilize twice a month with you know, the blue stuff. Miracle Grow. Jack's, it's all 20, 20, 20. You're paying for a name. So, and this one is the, that's all purpose. You can use it on vegetables and, you know, flowers and everything. You know, it just depends on, there's an orchid variety that you use, but the orchid fertilizer is like a diluted 20, 20, 20 and has a few other things in it. But as long as you're getting some fertilizer, some 20, 20, 20 on all your flowering plants during the growing, you know, during the season when we're all here. Well, you guys are lucky, you probably get to go home, but I'm here all summer long.
I'm not understanding the difference between the first and
The two fertilizers,
the first thing, yeah, that.
this goes into the soil. You mix this, I already put it in here. You mix this into the soil
When you're planting.
and then and once a month, I take a handful. I put 3, I really put a lot in at the beginning because I want them to start to kick off and get acclimated. And I can't have anything slowing down my, you know, I mean, I plant according to growth pattern and stuff, so I can't have one not doing their job. You know, and even though they're not dead, it ruins my design. So, and then once a month,
Soil and that's added.
this I do once a month, and that liquid I do every 2 weeks.
And what's the liquid again? I'm sorry.
It's just 20, 20, 20. You know, the blue stuff. I mean, Miracle Grow or Jack's. I mean, they call it, you know. I mean, Miracle Grow, it's a great product. I buy their, you know, their 20, 20, 20, but I won't buy their soil. I've run in, you know, they tell you on the news, like hurricane season, it's going to be bad, and we don't even get a brush with anything. And the same thing with when they, you know, predicted drought season and that. Well, I used to take them literally, and my brother's a meteorologist, and I'm like, is that true? He goes, yeah, you can count on me, it's a science. And I'm like, you lied to me. You lied. We just got 12 inches of rain. Well, you can't predict the weather, as you said. That's what I put you through college, so you could tell me. You know, that's not fair. So I'm really, above all, I mean, good soil and the proper fertilizing when you start, and you will eliminate a lot of the problems that you might have down the road.
What do you call that again?
I'm sorry?
What do you call that first container?
The granules?
Yeah.
That's, this is called, well, scientifically it's called blast. You can get blast by itself in a tube. You can get a bag of Osmocote. That's $100. Yeah, I know. And in my lifetime, I would never use all of that. This is called Formula B, which it's through Busy Bee. They mix it. So, or they have a lab that mixes it. And this comes in manageable sizes, so you don't have any waste. I wouldn't use it from year to year, like leave it in your garage when you leave for the season. You know, it will lose its potency. It's like anything in your garage, you know, it just doesn't last from year to year. So, but this stuff is really important. I mean, it's you want to save yourself aggravation down the line. February, you don't want to be going, what's happening to my garden? After you put all that work in November, and it looked perfect, and it lasted for a month, and it's disappointing, and it's, you know, it's costly, and it's, you know, and it's, a lot of people just say, I have a black thumb, I can't do it. And nobody has a black thumb, you know, it's just a matter of choosing the right. I'm sorry?
How much would you use from the Formula B to that container?
I just did, I put in, I should have waited to show you. I put in 3 handfuls. And then like once a month, I would take one handful and sprinkle it in and water it in. And I mean, it is like overdosing on drugs to a human, you know. But I don't care because I need something from them. You know, if I'm sure there's some sort of rehab they can go to. So,
Is that good for your house plants too?
yes.
Okay, so for any of that stuff.
It's good on all plants. I mean, because it's got a bunch of, I don't know, the scientific breakdown. It's got a lot of plant hormones. I mean, hormones that plants need. And a plant will only take what it needs, and it won't suck up anything else, you know. So at least this is everything. And it's like a buffet. Take what you want. You just don't take a to-go box, you know.
I'm going to take my kids home to the buffet.
But I've used it for a lot of things. Right. I've used it, I mean, I use it on everything, you know,
What
so,
about succulents? Are they okay with that?
yeah.
Yeah? All right, cool, thank you.
So just don't go heavy, you know, in succulents, you don't go heavy with anything. I mean, one mistake,
Talk about persecution.
and then you've lost $14.99, you know, for a little,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, they make you feel it.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're like an ex-husband, you know. The one in the center of a planter, no matter what you're planting, is the one that doesn't require a lot of water. Unless you like the plant, you need it in design, and it's all of a sudden it becomes non-drought tolerant, you know. I mean, I do what has to be done to get the look, but also it doesn't have to go for a year. You know, I mean, I just have to get through a season. And I lose sleep over this stuff. Well, I lose money too, so of course I lose sleep next. So, and I put my stuff that needs more water, I plant that on the outside, but no matter how you do it, always water your plants more on the outside. They dry out the fastest. The plants inside are, they stay moist. It's the ones out, you know, the ring, you know, the sun. I mean, they just, they take a beating because they're like the little, an army, you know, they're protecting what's in the center. So their throat, you know, they can be sacrificed as far as that one in the center is concerned. But that gets the most fertilizer, that gets the proper amount of water, and the ones on the outside are a constant battle. And especially when they're in a 4-inch, you know, and you get a 100-degree day, or you have it in a place where the afternoon sun is just beating it, you may even have to water it that outside twice a week instead of once a week. I plant because I do weekly maintenance. I need my gardens to be able to make it for a week. I check the weather all the time. Like I said, this time of year I don't sleep well. I'm always watching the weather. And I'm my stupid brother. So, you know, did you see me today? Yes, I saw you today. And, you know, you said something new. And, you know, I worry about this because, and instead I just said, you know, why don't you just go back and do a second maintenance call? And I've had to do that, not that I have to do them twice a week for the rest of the season, but I need to be able to get those planters through a week of heat or too much rain. I don't just take, you know, oh, I don't have to work today because I don't have to water. Too much rain like we had a couple of weeks ago, I had a lot of damage after that because everything was newly planted. Nothing had, you know, nothing had rooted out yet, and they sat in water. And then we had a week of no sun. It was just overcast and clouds, and I developed a bad fungal problem on so many of my pots and on so many of my clients. That's the kiss of death, fungus. I'd rather have bugs, rabbits, ex-husbands, anything. But I mean, fungus it's one of the toughest things to, you know, to control. So I worry about that. And you can tell when it's happening, and you know that, you know, a day later, you know, you're risking losing a whole design. And you know, I mean, it's a plant. I don't guarantee them, but I don't charge labor to replace them. They buy, you know, I charge them for the whatever, you know, Busy Bee charges for the plant, and I have to do the redo on my own time, you know. And you work for nothing for a while, and you quickly learn, you know, how to do it the right way. Or you're out, you know, and you end up, you know, your profit level goes back down to like you're working for free. And nobody can afford to do that. So, and as a small business owner, I mean, real small business owner, I didn't get any help with, you know, like unemployment or anything. I didn't get any of that. I don't have kids. They didn't get the child. I mean, I'm literally on my own. It's up to me to do the right thing. So reluctantly, I have to. It's like having going to a Catholic school, you know. I'm waiting for the ruler to come out, you know. You did what? So, and then I'll start working out and then this way. So this is a penta. It's a perennial. It's a dwarf penta. It's it grows slower. It will eventually grow into a standard, you know, your standard size penta. But, and I'm not sure if they use that, that bonsai spray on this or not, you know, that makes things dwarfed. But, and they come in, what I like is that they're pretty hardy. They're not that cold tolerant down to, like I'd say, 38. They can take heat of, you know, 105. So I plan for heat, not cold now, because we haven't had I'm here 26 years. We haven't had the freezes like we had. When I first got here, I was like, geez, I moved from New York, and it's colder here than it was in New York. And I don't have any winter clothes. You know, so now what do I do? So, and of course you buy coats and gloves and hats and everything, and you get 5 years of, you're having, Christmas dinner is 90 degrees out. I'm like, and then you have no closet space to store these winter clothes. You give them all away and you get the next year of, it's like Murphy's Law. So I give up trying to figure out what's going on with the weather. You know, if you're here long enough, you know if you wait 10 minutes, it'll change. So you just wait for it to change.
Do you put anything on the bottom under the soil, like for drainage? Or?
These come with the liner on it, so, you know, but on a hanging plant, it's always going to run through no matter whether you have, and you want it to. You know, what you want is the water to go through. When you're going to buy anything, just take it out and see if it's root bound. I mean, if it's got good roots on it, because a lot of times you'll get these growers, and it's not their fault. They just have a system, and they'll take a 4-inch and step it up to a 1 gallon, get twice the money for it. You open it up, and it's all dirt. You could have bought a bag of dirt and a bunch of 4-inch, but you're paying for the size of the pot, you're paying for the extra soil, and the plant is like floating around in there somewhere, hasn't rooted out, but because they do everything in volume, and that's their business, you know, they're in their business to make money, and they make it, you know, they don't make that, I mean, unless they're doing huge volume, like impatiens and stuff, they make more money on 6-inch and up. So, and in Florida, in these pots, you can't just stick 1 gallon plants in these things. So that's when I'll you know, take all the dirt and I'll, like a geranium, and I'll get down right to that pod that they plant them in, and I can take them, and the roots are just hanging, and I bury the roots in there. You know, it's very hard down here to get the plant size you need You might like the plant and you're like, but it's in a 3-gallon. Most of them can be separated. You know, they do three plants per pot. So you just have to know, you gotta know Florida. Boy, if you can know Florida, you're good to go anywhere. This is, you know, sweet alyssum. Comes in white, lavender, lavender and white. This is rabbit food.
What's it called?
Alyssum. And this is like a shrimp cocktail on a buffet. Everybody goes for that first. Now they're in a, you're buying a substantial plant. I use gravel mainly on like a patio that, you know, like the people would freak if anything runs out, you know, and stain their patio. Because the fertilizer in these planters, that's got iron and everything in it, and it leaves, you know, it leaves a mess. So I'll put gravel in there. I also put a clear plastic, you know, saucer underneath it, clear, so you don't even notice it. But I do that, and I, you know, of course I never carry rocks, so I usually, like, there's a neighbor or something, and I just like slightly pull into their driveway, scoop up a couple of handfuls of their driveway, run back to the client's house, and I'm like, I just discovered I have gravel in my truck. So, but yeah, I mean, it's not really stealing, it's borrowing. So, but I mean, I've actually used, you know, those giant urns? I mean, to fill those up with soil, it would take like a dump truck. And a lot of times I'll use mulch, or those packing poppies, you know, the packing things, whatever they are. Put the packing things in, mulch, and
Styrofoam, it's okay to use styrofoam?
yeah. So for years I was afraid to use the styrofoam because I didn't know whether it was made with chemicals or not. But then I noticed that all the orchid growers use them. So I guess if they're safe enough for orchids, it's safe enough for the, you know, for plants. So I mean, it works out well. I only use those styrofoam things on a huge, huge planter. Otherwise, I'll just put gravel on the bottom, or a screen, you know, a little screen over the hole. Because like I said, you want it to eventually be able to, you have a problem, you want to be able to tip that pot and get that water that's, you know, that's ponding in that pot. You want to have a release for it. You just stay with a hose like a power washer and you clean off whatever is coming out that's foul looking. So we'll put the alyssum on the outside. Now alyssum will dry out first. Another alyssum. And they're pretty hardy. Alyssum is really hardy. I don't find them to be very forgiving. If they've dried out once, you can almost guarantee that it's just going to continue to decline. It's just one of those plants, but they're like cheap. You know, I think they sell them so you have to keep rebuying them, you know. Lobelia, now that's a real nice trailer. And that comes in, white, darker purple, that deep blue. But they're really, I mean, it's a beautiful accent, you know, it's, and it cascades, because everybody wants hangy stuff. I need, you need hangy stuff. And I don't do spikes and the other thing that we used to use up north, vinca. Everybody had a spike, everybody had vinca, and you had 5 geraniums around. I was like, really? But that was New York. It's what they liked, and they wanted their house to look like the neighbors. You think there was an HOA of plants, like the plant patrols. Oh, yeah, they do. You can't plant certain things. So, and I like the combination in blues and purples.
What was that one called again?
Lobelia.
I've lost a number of lobelia, and I don't know.
Too much water.
That's what I was thinking about.
Same thing with Gerbers, Gerbera daisies. Only takes once.
Once a week,
No, takes one overwatering.
overwatering.
And then you're going to have to go heavy with the fungicide on that. That's one that, a lot of people have trouble with Gerbers. I don't, because I wait till it tells me it needs to be watered. And eventually you will get used to that they talk. I mean, not English, but they talk. And they let you know when they're dry. They certainly let you know when they're too wet, because they're like, I'm out of here, and they'll die. So.
What keeps them from blooming? The heat?
Hmm?
What keeps them from blooming flowers a lot of times? Is it the heat?
Too much water.
Too much water?
Yeah. See, when a plant is stressed due to dryness, the flowering is a swan song. That's when they become real showy with flowers and stuff, because they're struggling. So they show everything, If there's too much water, they have no reason to live. They just sit, get fat, get wet, and then die. So, and I use the daconil for fungus. I don't like to use it. It's a pain in the neck when I see I have to do it. I use them mainly on geraniums, because those are expensive, and if I've got a huge bed of geraniums and I got one section where the sprinkler just keeps hitting, I have to control it, or it's going to spread to the whole bed, and I will use the daconil. And it does slow it down, and it takes them a while to recover. If they're not going to recover like that, I can't leave them. I got to rip them out. And you're talking a lot of money. Even even when I do 200, you get 10. That leaves a nice gaping hole, and that's a lot of money just to replace those 10. And I don't make money on, I don't make the labor on, redoing them. So when you've been burned enough, or even in your gardens, when you've lost plants and things didn't work, people have a tendency to, I can't grow that plant. And that is not the truth. You just have to know. You have to learn by mistakes are how you learn. You have to learn that something, research it. If you don't know, take it to a garden center and they'll tell you right away what you did wrong. Try to correct your error and you can grow anything. For years I couldn't grow marigolds. I still can't. Who can't grow a marigold? I'm in this business 37 years, but I also don't like marigolds. They smell like my grandmother. Her house. She was German, had flower boxes all outside the window, no screens. She swore all you needed was marigolds, while we were drawing blood in the house because her and her stupid marigolds, and I couldn't stand that overwhelming. I have smellbacks. Reminds me of my grandmother, and I was not close to her. So I just don't even you know, people like them. I have to use them in a design. I'm like, you ain't gonna be around very long, because I'm gonna make an excuse. You're just gonna die, and I'm gonna tell the people, it's a marigold. You know, oh, don't plant it again. And yay, you know, got out of that one. I can't stand them. I can't stand that small. There's a lot of plants that I don't like because of that. Easter lilies I'm so highly allergic to, you know, things like that. That, I mean, people after Easter, they give me their lilies and can you put this in the garden, and the tears and my eyes are blowing up, and I'm like, ah, God, it's an ornamental, just throw. Now I read that you can plant them in the ground and they'll come back next year. Okay. You know, and I'll plant it for them, and I'm like, it's almost like like they have COVID. I want a social distance from them. I can't stand that smell. I hope everybody here, by the way, you and your families and friends have been fine during this next wave of this stuff. I have a couple of clients now that have it, you know, so I'm like, that it's hit home to me. You know, I know so many, more so than when it first, you know, the outbreak started. I know so many more people that are getting it now, and they're all vaccinated, and you know, I'm concerned. So I got things with fungus. People have COVID. They're like telling me, when was the last time I saw you? I'm like, last week. Oh, all right, you might want to go get tested. I've been tested, I'm fine. I just got a big mouth, but you know, it's just, it's scary times. So gardening is a pleasure, you know? You can't go anywhere. You don't have to wear a mask outside. They're not going to catch anything from you. You're not going to catch anything from them. So they're the perfect date. You know, so this is good. That's what I mean. You pull it out and you see that, you got a good plant. You got your money's worth. It's not like roots to here. You know, it's completely rooted out. And this has a much better chance of doing well in your planter. And you know, for years, people like, I don't shop in Home Depot or those places anymore, but I would, as a professional, I would pull them out, and they're like, lady, don't do that. And I'm like, if I'm paying for it, do you want me to, you're gonna give me my money back if it dies? Well, let me leave it. Let me pick what I need now, and avoid that process where you lose money. I'm just looking. I'm looking, you know, and they think that's weird. You know, they just think it's weird. And
So you wouldn't break those roots up on that? No. Yeah, I know, Florida.
nah.
I'm in New York.
You're in New York too? What part?
The Catskills.
Okay, you're nosebleed area. I'm Manhattan.
Originally Manhattan.
Oh, okay. So you know our type.
Yes.
We're dangerous. But I do,
Okay.
because I need to fit it.
And it's not a problem to squish them all in.
You don't hear anything, do you? They're not complaining. It's an impatient. This is the old time impatient. Remember, we couldn't get them for years because they had that downy fungus? They just came back out with them. They've been treated with some sort of something. And I said, the rabbits eat them. We don't know yet. I said, I'm not putting 500 of these in a landscape and have them. So I use them this year, only in pots. I'm letting my competition try them in the ground. And trust me, I pass those jobs all the time, and I'm like waiting. Rabbits are eating it.
Now those, do they stay smaller than the ones that the others?
Same growth pattern.
Kind of big.
Only this is 98 cents and they're 250.
Mine are.
A New Guinea or a sun patient is twice as. So, I mean, these used to be a favorite down here And the last 3 or 4 years, they were illegal to sell. They were illegal to even grow because that fungus hit a lot of landscape. So it's like Ganoderma is with the palm trees. You know, it just spreads. It's an airborne fungus. And they finally, after 4 years, maybe 5, have developed a spray that they spray on them. But I also ask questions like, how long will that spray last throughout rains and irrigation and that? It's like COVID. We don't know. We have no answer. So I'll let everybody else do it first. In the summer, all bets are off. I'll tell you, in the summer, all bets are off, even with things that can take intense heat.
That's right.
Either you're going to die or your garden's going to die. You can't, I mean, really.
Umbrella up. I do. When it's gonna rain or it's too hot, I put one of those beach umbrellas over my succulents. Keep the rain off.
Well, I'm not allowed to do that in like John's Island, Orchid Island. They don't like the look. You know, I mean, everybody wants it all, you know.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm out there on 105 heat index. I'm 71 years old, and I'm like, God, I'm gonna die. And I really don't care anymore what happens to you, you know, it's just.
It's about me.
Yeah, it's all me, baby, all about me. So, I mean, it's brutal in the summer. But in the winter, everything can take. You know, I mean, if you're going to get a pounding southern exposure or a really intense western exposure, you may want to, think twice. But, I mean, like we haven't had, so far, well, Christmas it was 90 degrees. But you think it's only for 6 hours. Yeah, the sun itself is only.
Hold on for 6 hours.
It doesn't cool off really that much, but it's the sun's rays that burn things up. You know, not so much the heat. I mean, we're in the tropics, so we should be able to grow tropical. We should be. And your ivy geranium, everybody knows what an ivy geranium is.
Is that a trailing plant?
Very traily. Yeah, really I mean, now this is root, you know, has good roots. I won't be able to fit it in with these roots, so I have to take some soil off. There's a pod. It's called a plug. That's where they stock. That's where they stick the the starter, and it grows out of here. And then from that, a little peat pot, and from that they step them up into a 4-inch, then a 6-inch. So I can get it down to. And still, the roots are protected. Yeah, and there's soil and fertilizer in there. I'm not too really worried about. I mean, it's going to start growing the minute you get it home. It's probably already started now. And the reason I overplant, people always go, I can't believe you got so much crammed in there, they're going to suffocate each other. No, what happens is if I'm a success, this all grows together. If I'm a complete failure, I can pull things out and the rest of the design has grown substantially so you don't notice the missing plant. So I don't have to go back and keep replanting. I just pull out what doesn't look, like acceptable to me. And it rarely changes the design. So it's done for both the professional reason and because I just don't want, once I get it done, I don't want to be bothered again. And sadly, I'm in the business, so I have to be bothered again. I like that color. I like the yellow petunia. I don't like stripes, in some of them. And I don't know, it's just I got so tired of the old time petunia, you know, those colors. When they came out with this, I was like, yeah. And yellow is like white. It really brightens up a planter, you know. And it's a petunia. I mean, they're not really, unless you overwater these two, they do not like to be overwatered.
How long will that planter last? Like, can you expect it to go into the summer?
Yeah, till about, well, you can put it in the sun now, and then if you're here year round, start working on putting it in a little shadier area. You can cut it back and it'll all grow back the same. I mean, they'll keep going. They're all, they're not sensitive annuals. A lot of them are like semi-perennial. If you take care of them, you can get them, you know, like this will go for years, the Diamond Frost.
What was that first plant? The white one?
Diamond Frost. You know, when you have 90% of your clientele that are very pleased with a plant, you use them a lot. They're happy with it, I'm happy. Except they're marigolds. It's not the look and the color, it's the smell. You don't think that's a funky smell? It's like it's like almost like,
No wonder it's mosquitoes.
it's like that spray in a bathroom with the air freshener. You know why you're spraying an air freshener. Now, whoever wins this, I didn't water it in because I didn't want you to get mud in your car and everything.
How big will this get?
You,
Almost growing to the top of the...
you won't, you probably, it'll probably grow to here. You won't even see the pot if all goes according to plan. But that's just the basic.
And do you cut these back at all in order to make them fuller? Or you cut them back at all, or you just let it grow?
You know, it depends on the growth cycle. I mean, depends on where you hang. It's a hang, so it's one-sided. You know, you might get 2 exposures. One side. It's up to you what the look that you expected when you planted it. But it will all grow in, and it'll be a beautiful planter. And in the spring, after Easter, you can cut it all back, fertilize it good, and hang it more in the shade area, and it'll go all summer. So,
It'll keep flowering.
yes. Yeah. You'll see as it gets older and it's too big and it'll tell you it needs to be cut back when the flowers start less and less, because it's continuing to grow. You don't want that growth cycle anymore, so you cut it back because you want the flowers.
So how far back do you cut it normally?
Always make sure you have a couple of leaves. Don't cut it down. As long as you have a leaf on it, it tells the plant that it's not dead, and it starts to do its, you know, it starts to flush out again. So.
Your potting mix, does that have any fertilizer in it at all?
Yeah, I put
I mean, in the bag. Just as it is.
in the planters.
No.
No, you can buy Miracle Grow that has fertilizer in it.
Right, but this has no fertilizer.
No, it's completely organic. It's got the stuff that's in this mix is an organic-based, compost kind of thing. So there are nutrients. There's really good nutrients in organic soils, but when you're doing this for flowers and stuff, you want that extra, because also you're confining them to a pot, you know. So for soil and fertilizer, if you don't do that right from the beginning, you're dooming yourself. You're gonna have nothing but problems. So, you know, don't set yourself up for a fall. And like I said, nobody has a black thumb. We'd all be rich and famous if we were born with black thumbs, and that'd be unique. But people, and that breaks my heart, because I don't know, why do you say that? And it's because I can't even grow that. I said, well, I can't grow a marigold. So, and if I had a black thumb, I'd be bankrupt. You know, it's all just learning your plants. Don't ever only, you know, if you like something, try it. You know, don't try 50 of them, try one of them. You know, but don't get discouraged, because we all have made our fair share of mistakes in gardening. We just don't talk about it. You know, I don't admit it. I just tell a client, I don't know what happened. Did the landscaper do something? No, they don't come until Friday. And I'm like, oh, I can't blame it on anybody else then. You know, but it happens. I make mistakes. And my mistakes are costly, because I have to deal with, I mean, if it's bad enough when I do it to myself, I'm so angry. But when I do it to a client, I feel like a mass murderer. You know, I mean, I don't forgive myself that easy. I just keep saying, you should have known better. And it happens, it's gonna happen. I don't care if you're a master gardener. It happens to everybody. We're all gonna make a mistake. But the key is to learn by it and don't repeat the pattern.
I'm interested in getting one of those planters that, like, they hang on a wall. They're kind of pretty.
Yeah.
They're like big like this. Any recommendations of what is best to grow there? Or sometimes I see them with moss in them. It looks like kind of a mossy thing in the bottom of it.
They're ideal for succulents, or even different ferns. I have one that I just did that was all Hoya, different varieties of Hoya plant. It's a succulent. It's a succulent. Calanchos. You know, you see them around. You see them in like a lot of the florists too. But that's a landscape item. You know, I love doing those, because you can really, your talent comes out. You know, your eye, you know, what you see, you think you're not, you know, you think when you see something that it's in one ear and out the other. It's not. Believe it or not, your brain retains that look in your brain, and all you do is recreate what you envision, and you can't go wrong. You know, just learn what you have to learn what you're working with. And anybody can be a successful gardener. I don't tell that to everybody, because I don't need the competition, but everybody has it in them. And it's relaxing, and it's, you're not hurting anybody except that. And like I said, don't worry about your mistakes so much. And that's in life in general.